Mother India just mother tree. Down in the Caroli Plain, Rakasharai, Brotherhood of the Gods. The Ganges commit the Nile. Youths under 25, it's your time to join the Progressive Empowerment Party. Youths under 25, young people under 25, if you would like to join the Progressive Empowerment Party until March 31st, your membership is free. F-R-E-E. No price, no payment at all. Now, there are many different ways that you can join. The best and fastest way is to come straight to any of our offices. We have an office in Couva, we have an office in the Bamboo, and we have an office, our head office, in Port of Spain. But there are other ways that you can join. You can also visit peptt.com and click the join link. You can call any of these numbers. So I suggest you take these numbers. More likely than not, Satish Ramsaran is going to share these numbers on this thread, but I am going to give it to you anyway. Those numbers are Amanda 7780029, Nicole 7370911, Indira 7027445 4998382. There is also Reina, who is in charge of the membership, and her number is 347-7762. You can also reach out to Satish Ramsaran, Party Organizer, at 796-8172. David Welch, who is the Youth Armchair, would be more than happy to assist you. And David Welch Youth Armchair line is 2824798. The head of the Women's Arm, Precious Cruikshank, her number is 298-4852. Of course, if you forget all of that, my number is 682-2110. If you cast your mind back 100 years, I have been the only politician and the first politician that gladly gave out my telephone number for people to be able to reach out to me, preferably via WhatsApp, preferably not using voice notes because I don't like voice notes. If you take the time to type up as I say in this, I have to remember the Manzanilla people. So you could call me, you could message me, WhatsApp me, 682-2110. Satish asked me to ask people if they're hearing you. Anybody having any problem at all? You see, when I ask a question like that, for the next 5 minutes, we will get answers long after we get the answer. But is anybody having any problem hearing me at all? Now is the time to write that on the thread. Young people up to the age of 25. Now, I believe people are young until they're 75. But demographically, to the youth up to the age of 25, if you would like to join the Progressive Empowerment Party, now is the time to join, because joining is free. Free, free, free. No charge, no fee of any kind. I want to ask Satish, please, to share in the Ops thread and the Shadow MPs thread. In fact, you can put in the caucus thread as well, that from tomorrow and until March 31st midnight, membership for people under the age of 25 is F-R-E-E. If you all give me 1 full minute, I want to just make a quick note of this. Now, we have 2 types of memberships. We have annual membership and we have lifetime membership. Annual membership costs $200 a year. Unlike the cocaine parties, we have to fund our party, buy things like membership and selling these sexy t-shirts and the polos and stuff. We sell these cups. We do fundraisers. We beg every day, every night for money. We have people who give us standing orders of $100, $200, $300 a month, and that helps us run the party, because it's not an easy or a cheap thing to run. And unlike the cocaine parties, we have to declare how we run our business, and we have to be as transparent as possible. Like, we have some money, I think it's $12,000. I am not sure, I could be wrong. Satish will correct me, Daddy Barrett will correct me, Felicia Holder could correct me. I think we have $12,000 sitting down in an account waiting for the design of Andrea Barrett's headstone. Daddy Barrett, Randolph Barrett, Andrea's daddy, is the head of that committee. But it is not something that you want to force on somebody. Plus, we've had difficulty trying to find a location to put the memorial. So we've been working on that. He has a space in Palmis where there is a memorial for Andrea, and he was going to do it there. But there's a lot of politicky in the thing. So we have this $12,000 that was donated by Cyril Ramada. And if, and I'm going to say this to my team, and I'm saying it so that we give ourselves a deadline, because we are on an election footing and we don't want to get distracted by stuff. So I have some properties. I am going to talk to Daddy Barrett. We are going to talk to other people. There's a property in Arima he is in discussions for, to try and get a space to put a memorial for Andrea. And Cyril Ramada contributed $12,000 towards that. The cost of it might be more. If we go ahead with it, that will happen, and there will be an unveiling on an auspicious day for Andrea. We just put her remains into a vault in Tacarigua at a funeral home who donated that space to the Barrett family. But if in a couple months we are not successfully able to do this, I am going to ask my team to thankfully, with great appreciation, repatriate, return the money to the Ramada people, to Cyril Ramada, or if he decides he would like to make a public donation to Daddy Barrett or anything else, he could decide. But I need to get completion on this in a couple months, because it's easy for the shit snakes and the canal congs and the latrine rats to call my name and all kind of thing. And I didn't know that Cyril sent, I knew that we were talking to him and he wanted to do a headstone. But I didn't know he had sent the money. And I told Felicia, unless we have something going on, we can't do that. Because I don't want us to be in a position where shit snakes and canal congs and latrine rats could say my name. You see, I work very hard to keep my name clean, and I am in a stinking dirty field called politics, and it's very hard. And just today I've been talking to some beautiful people who have come on board the Progressive Empowerment Party, and they are a fantastic team, and more coming on by the day. And I've been telling them that the difficulty, and no, we were discussing, and they were saying that a lot of people want to get involved, Philip. They want to get involved, but politics is so stink in Trinidad. It's dangerous and it's threatening to your brand and your family. And I know, because I've suffered that for the past decades, and especially with the launch of the Progressive Empowerment Party, I've had my character assassinated and all manner of things said about me by people who don't have a pot to piss in, a place to put the pot. And I should never have allowed myself for that to happen. But my father told me, he said, that's the cost. He said, this thing doesn't come cheap. It's not easy. If it was easy, anybody would do it. The reason you are doing it and you're successful and you stay in the course is because of the type of man, the metal of you, and that you're able to stick it out. It is tiring, it's exhausting, but he told me that the race is not for the swiftest, but for those who can endure to the end. He spent my growing up life, my brother, my sisters, 5 of us, telling us these things, nurturing in us, and we, by extension, nurturing our children. He and my mom, by example, more than him, and him by words more than her, gave us these constant tracks, these rails that our lives ran on. My brother-in-law Ronnie was telling me about, reminding me about a fella named Sonny. He must be dead and gone now. When we used to live in Westmoreland, I was in St. Mary's College, that was about 30 years ago. And Sonny was a rotted drunk. And they used to chase him out of Westmoreland, but my mother used to let him come and clean our yard or clean something and give him money or give him dinner. And that's her way, that's her style. And we grow up accustomed to seeing these people who are homeless or without any other purpose or reason in our homes. My father would have workers that worked with him in any of his businesses, and they would be regulars at our dinner table. We've grown up like that. We've lived community. Our children live community. So workers that work with me, Bella can't tell who is friend, who's family, and the difference on who's worker. Bella knows that people do certain things. She's 4, she's going to be 5. But she's accustomed, and I remember, because of this way that we all have, and there's a little video of my dad's funeral, and we were all the way on the left, and Satish and David Welch and the others who were doing the audio, because they wanted to do something for my dad's funeral, and they were all the way in the front on the right, and Isabella Rose came down. I was holding her, and she came down from me and walked across the altar in front of the priest and walked all the way over to sit with David and Satish, because that's where she wanted to be. And we've grown up knowing that our role in society is to knit, is to build bridges, not gates. Getting into politics is stink, is nasty, is threatening. Your friends, your own friends want to distance themselves from the splatter. They say, yeah, they're your friend, they're your partner. People don't want that kind of talk in their private lives. And I understand that, because I look at it sometimes and I think, what is the purpose of this? I played 2 songs, Brotherhood of the Boat, Brother Marvin, Jahaji Bai, and Ganges and the Nile, David Rudder. And I play those songs because we are such a stupid people. The people of Trinidad and Tobago are so bright intellectually, common sense. We wrote the book, but collectively we're stupid. We let a handful of drug lords, money launderers, and corrupt sons of bitches disguised as lawyers and accountants and politicians and businessmen who dress up and pretend for their families that they're good and decent people when they're nothing but crooks and criminals. And if we audit Trinidad and Tobago, a lot of these people who have given themselves silk or given themselves national awards would have to return it, because they would have tainted it. They've tainted the country. And more importantly, they've put us against each other. And they've made this country a laughing joke. I was thinking while I was showering to come and do the show tonight, that we live in different Trinidads. The people who live in Goodwood Park and Bayshore live in a different Trinidad to the people who live in Sealots and Beetham, and they live in a different Trinidad to the people who live in Rapai Village and Caroni, and they live in a different Trinidad to all the people who live in Tobago. We live in completely different countries. To the people of Goodwood Park, they don't know what inside City Gate look like. And to the people of Beetham and Laventille who use Citygate, if they find themselves walking in Goodwood Park, every couple steps, somebody will ask them what they're doing here. We live in different Trinidads. It's not a real cohesive country. Keith Rowley could kiss my ass, my half-red ass. To the people who don't like how I talk, the other cheek is available. And I talk like this to give you as rotted honesty as I could, as transparent integrity as I could. They have plenty people who give you sweet sounding lies, but they are criminal in their heart. They are deceitful, disgusting, disrespectful, dishonest, distasteful. They are people who you wouldn't want at your table, no matter how well shined and healed their shoes are. Politics is not fun. Yesterday, Felicia, she said she can't take no more, and she done. I can't blame her. She put out a lot. It's been a tough row to hoe. This has not been easy. Coming up against a country where the media is owned by people who have real questions to answer. The media in Trinidad and Tobago is owned by people who, if they turn the light on themselves, couldn't answer questions, and playing block for block, using political clout, the government and their business cohorts and their lawyers who drive in the getaway car has made this country a nasty, fetid cesspool. We do not live in a good country. Jason Gordon, the Archbishop of Trinidad and Tobago, is either delusional or drunk. Nothing his flock faces is enjoyable. They come to church to beg God for reprieve, not to hear a priest on the altar telling you, suck it up. Don't talk bad about Massa. Bend your back and take the lash. And that is madness. Because the same Archbishop Jason Gordon who put out a release whose drawers get in a twist over somebody make a song called Hard Mass to the tune of Hard Vet. That lyrics that they wrote was so complimentary to the church. If Jason Gordon understood, he would have smiled. He would have said, you know, you really shouldn't have used the Archdiocese letterhead to try and make it look legit. But I get where you was going. Funny, but don't do it again. But don't put out no big stinking release when you didn't put out a big stinking release on the 610 people murdered. You didn't put a release on that. You didn't put out a big stinking release when Sabga report leak and the country find out politicians and big businessmen raping little children held in cages by the state and paid for by taxpayer dollars. You didn't put out a release for that. You didn't put out a release when you found out most of the guilty homes were run by the Catholic Church. You did not put out a release. You didn't put out a release when you found out that the government and the opposition name have been called in all manner of nastiness, including human trafficking. No release from you. None whatsoever. Yesterday, the Commissioner of Police said, give me a month. 1 month? June. Murders done by June. Who dead between now and June? Well, all dead. Why June? Because she retiring in May. I just catch the joke. And I don't want to be the one calling out the Archbishop. I want to be like Felicia. I want to be able to say, you know what? I done. How it hang, it swing. I want to do like the Archbishop and the Commissioner. Don't talk about it. Who dead, dead. I'm tired. People calling me from all over the world. Trinbagonians calling me from all over the world. Sylvan Henry called me tonight and bend my ear for 15 minutes. Telling me don't quit, don't leave. They come in, everybody come in and they send in. They want to help, they want to get involved. And I'm telling you, there are people coming on board now. That the 5 years they had come ago, they had come on board, add us at our fireworks. No, I'm too tired to care. But I gave my word, and somebody posted, and you the right thing to say. You know, keep your word to your father. Keep your word, because to whom much is given, much is expected. And I am brilliant. Besides being sexy and very interesting to look at, I am brilliant. I was given that gift, and to whom much is given, much is expected. Okay, so I'm sticking it out to 2025. The Progressive Empowerment Party is a massive organization now, especially as other now-come political parties have collapsed in a heap and caught fire. But yesterday when Felicia tendered her resignation, and we accepted it with love. We accepted it with love because you have to let people go. You can't own them. And as much as we don't want to lose her, she was a fantastic chairman, and we would love to still have her in our ranks, and the door cannot close on Felicia Holder. There are stink and dirty canal conks and latrine rats and shit snakes who tried to make hay with that. It didn't go anywhere. Nobody took it on because they know. There are no fallouts, there are no mashup. It's just people tired. People tired of a country where there are more people who have their knickers in a twist over Bungie, Lincoln Fayan in the credits for hard vet than taking on the fact that the government and the opposition may be involved in human trafficking. Devon Barrage, who, while stroking a young thing's head in Hyatt, was offered prostitutes by cabinet colleagues. At the time, his plate was full, literally, and he had all the girl he needed. So he didn't need any extra girl. He didn't have to go and run down the girl in licensing office anymore. They say when he was Minister of Transport, his office was practically in licensing office. He didn't have to do that no more. But he didn't call the police. Like Keith Rowley. When Keith Rowley was told about Emailgate, and that Gary and Kamala and Anand and them was, I think it was Anand, it was Anand, coming to kill Denise Wren. Keith Rowley didn't pick up the phone and call the police. He didn't call the Chief Justice. He didn't call the DPP. He didn't call the media. He didn't call Denise Wren. He called Max Richards, Red Girl Whiner Boy, and asked him if he could take a break, Your Excellency, from whining on whichever red girl you're whining on. Take a look at this. Look, the government coming to kill Denise Wren. You have any authority here? And Max said, well, leave me there. When I finish my wine, I'm going to take a look. And Max whined for 6 months. And for the entire 6 months, Denise Wren's life was in danger. Thank God that Kamala and Gary and Anand are such incompetent murderers that for the 6 months, they didn't get a chance to kill her. She didn't get a heads up from Rowley. Rowley went and snatched back the thing from Max. He said, Max, oh gosh man, you're going to take a break from the whining and read what I send you. It's serious. Max, while whining, tell Rowley, take your thing and go. So Rowley went to his office incensed because he has evidence that Kamala, Gary and Anand going to kill Denise Wren 6 months now. So he thinking while he in his office, and he next door to the Integrity Commission, you know, and he could ask his secretary to call Ken Gordon's secretary and say to Ken Gordon's secretary, you as head of the Integrity Commission, even though you have no authority, you have less authority than Max, but I don't think you're whining on any little red girls right now. I want to come and bring this to you. I'm not giving it to Denise, even though her life is in danger. I'm not going to the police. I'm not going to the DPP. For some reason, maybe he didn't trust them. I'm not going to the Chief Justice. I'm not even going to the media. I'm coming to all the irrelevant office holders I could go to. Can I come to you? He didn't do that. He waited till he reached home in Newberry Hill. And he remember, up the road in Newberry Hill, Ken Gordon living up the road. His secretary no longer with him. Ken's secretary neither. Rowley went and shake up Ken Gate. Hey Ken, look, I have evidence Kamala and Gary and Anand going and killed Denise Wren 6 months ago. Now Ken couldn't say, boy Rowley, haul your ass now. He couldn't say that. He said, come inside. And Ken said he took a pen and a paper as evidence that he was taking it like a witness statement. And we are supposed to believe in the integrity of the judge and the prosecutor, but the defense have no presence there. And then bust the mark in the Parliament. Bust the mark in the Parliament. That's how Keith did Emailgate, and that must have excited Devon Barrage. It must have stirred him in his loins because he copied Keith. When his cabinet colleague offered him foreign pom-pom, he said, I have pom-pom now. And the fact that he didn't call the police, maybe he kept his colleague's number in case he needed pom-pom later. I don't know. It's not my job to judge what was going on in Devon Barage's mind or his pants. But I find it very suspect, if not suspicious, that you know that your cabinet colleague is involved in human trafficking and you didn't call the police, you didn't call the DPP, you didn't call the Chief Justice, you didn't call the Immigration Department, you didn't call the media. You eat cabinet food and you drink cabinet wine. And when you finally get booted from the party, like Rowley, who stand up in the parliament and say, I went to the Prime Minister in August 2003 and told him that there was massive bid rigging taking place in Unicode. The only problem was, when he was making that statement, it was 2009. And I asked Kitos, what did you do for the 6 ensuing years? Did you eat cabinet food? Did you drink cabinet wine? Did you sit there and uphold a government knowing that it was massive bid rigging taking place? Yes. Yes. Not only did he sit and eat cabinet food and drink cabinet wine and uphold the government, an election was called between 2003 and 2009. There was an election in 2007. And Keith Rowley had an opportunity to bring down the government because of massive bid rigging taking place at Unicode. And he said every child in every school child in this country know that there's a thing called Unicode and it stinks to high heaven. But he didn't do that. He campaigned for the same party. People like Devon Maraj and Keith Rowley are not people for you to build things like ethics, morality, character, integrity on. These fellas are self-serving sons of bitches. They only care what is putting on their plate now. And Keith Rowley, like Devon Maraj, are only concerned with saving information, not to do the right thing. No. To use it if ever they have a chance to bring you down. This is the PNM and the UNC. That's them. Two sides of the same malignant cancer, metastasized to the bone. Stage 4 by your flaws. The PNM and the UNC uninterrupted. When the NAR was the government, for a brief time between 1986 and 1991, the country was broken by an assault on the parliament. The Prime Minister was shot. And Patrick Manning and Basleo Pandey uncharacteristically were absent from the parliament that day. I'm not saying they knew, but I'm not saying they all either. But the PNM has had. Now, UNC people will tell you that like a garden, they know the UNC fork up the country. But they said that the PNM gardeners were in the garden longer and they've been forking it up longer. And I understand, I accept that. But what I don't understand is how could UNC supporters really tell themselves that anybody should be forking it up at all? The garden's safe. Don't need to use a fork. And I know you get my analogy. That our reality in the Royal Imperial Majestic Banana Republic of Take Where You Want land is broken. Captain, your shit is stinking. Gypsy, let me rewrite it. We live in a Trinidad and Tobago where the government and its members are fully aware of the criminality that the government and its members are involved in. But it is honor among thieves. It's a gang. It is not accidental. Eric Williams didn't close his eyes while Johnny O and the rest thief. He was thieving too. His grandchildren will never have to work. In a country where more water falls on it every year than we could ever use. We get 1,000,000 times more water than we could ever use. In a country where government after government design our water management system to capture the free rainwater and throw it in the sea. So they could sell you desalination at $500 million a year. We have more water tank and water pump per person, per capita, per square mile in this country than any other country on this planet to sell us bottled water, to sell us truck water. The average person who is paying WASA a bill every month dutifully, because if you don't, WASA could come and take your property for $230 and auction it. So whether or not you're getting water or not, it doesn't matter. You have to pay that bill. And after you pay that bill, you're buying bottled water and you're buying truck water and you have a water tank or 2 or 4 or 10 in your yard. And you have a pump pumping electricity to pump water into your house, even though you paid WASA for that water already. In a country where our education system is designed for your children to fail. So you could pay for private lessons, or you could pay for private schools, or you could bribe. Let's not call it bribe. Let's call it make a donation to the church, the temple, or the mosque, or the minister. Let's make a donation so our children could get into prestige schools. You can't encourage bribery or donations if all the schools work. So some schools have to be shut. Is why in licensing office, they could work faster. They could do everything quicker. The cash register doesn't shut down at 12 o'clock. It can run till 10. It can run till midnight. It can run right around the clock. That doesn't have to happen. But if you want corruption and bubble to take place, you have to frustrate people. You have to bring them and fail them for the driving test. Even though they're driving good, fail them. And while you're writing, you pull out the red pen and say, listen, I ain't telling everybody this, but I like you and you look like you know how to drive. If you put $1,000 on this clipboard here, I go see that them inside there fix you. You're paying the $1,000. Or when you take the day off and you travel, you see licensing office in Caroni and licensing office on Wrightson Road, still decent, it's still okay for the people who live in a 3-mile radius. But for the people who come in from Point Fortin and Labray, oh heavens forbid, Tobago, to transfer a vehicle, don't want to reach there and hear the car here, the pit here, but the officer not there. But they have a next officer inside, not on duty, but if we grease him, you come out. And you sign you off and you're on your way. To make bribery and donations a thing, you have to make it shitty. WASA has to fail at giving you water so you can buy bottled water and truck water and water pump and water tank. More water pump and water tank per capita per person per square mile in any country on the planet. Even countries that that are based in the desert. I tell you all of this for free. You don't want to give me no money. 317 people here watching this entertaining. And by tomorrow lunchtime, it'll be 10,000 people would have heard my beautiful voice say these words. And it's for free. You don't have to pay. It comes to you for free. In fact, I paid. I paid my own internet bill. But you could help. Because you're seeing and you're hearing. A man said to me today in the meeting, your integrity shines and you've persevered, and people are seeing that. They are realizing that your message has been on point for all this time and that you've not sold out or run away. So where do we go from here? Us, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we need to decide where we go from here. What we do from here as a people. Do we do what the Archbishop say and bend we back and take the lash and say, nice? Or do we hold the whip and say, that's it? No more. Do we stand up to the couple hundred cocaine importers? Do we stand up to the couple hundred cocaine money launderers? Do we stand up to the couple hundred corrupt politicians and their bad men? Do we stand up to the the dishonest lawyers and the criminal accountants. Do you know that a large business in Trinidad and Tobago that had to be bailed out with Trinidad and Tobago money was an international accounting firm, was publishing raw fiction for that company, and we then had to spend billions of dollars that we didn't use to bail out B-Tom, because that's poor black people. We didn't use the billions that was sitting there to bail out Morva, to ask for them. We didn't even think to go up in Diego, Keith Rowley, raise his daughters, feed his wife on that parliamentary salary, and it's the people of Bagatelle, COVID, Rich Plain, Mason, La Puerta, Saganga, Lansbitan, Scorpion, Big Yard, Point Cumana, Westmoreland, Bayshore. He think to spend, them I think to spend any of that money, any of them people. So you listening to my sexy voice tonight, I think I'm doing well, because I'm gonna maintain, I'm gonna try to manage. Somebody tell me, don't come across angry, but I'm angry. That's the only reason I'm in politics. I'm angry. Every time I watch, you see, I tell myself I know too much. I used to walk around the savannah and watch this restaurant, and I know the bribe that it took to get the restaurant to open. And I know that the restaurant did not have the business to continue, that it was laundering money. There are many like that. There are places in malls and on Arapita Avenue, for example, whose rent and staff bill is paid for by the proceeds of crime at the highest level of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, there's nobody else talking to you about that. I have spoken to you about the illegal activities and the criminality, the usurious behavior of banks, the rapacious behavior of our financial sector. I have spoken to you about that for so long that it gone viral. People understand water, people understand the banking. They understand now that if the government wanted to tell the banks, listen, those fees are too high, it could. It don't have to write a new law. There is a banking license. And based on the terms and conditions of that banking license, they could tell them that we're not going to run our financial sector like that no more. But they don't. So ask yourself a question. Does the government care about you? The opposition suddenly found its voice. And now the media is asking, should bank fees be regulated? Yes, of course. Back in time. Last night I spoke about the divers and all of the people who have been boogieing and whining on those divers' coffins because the country and the world know about them because of Phillip Alexander. Because of me. The power of my voice, social media, drag traditional media along on many issues. To their dismay, to their anger, that we could still command such an audience. They've done so much. They've throttled these pages. We have to use multiples of pages. Satish have to be working magic in the background while I'm talking so that you get this information. And we have to put it out continuously. And then there have other people like a relay who will download it and share it on theirs, like Hardcore News. Hardcore News took my bank video that did 500,000 views for me and got 250,000 views for himself. 750,000 views that I am aware of for the banking issue. That means the people of Trinidad and Tobago are being woken to the fact that it doesn't have to be this way. Education doesn't have to fail. It doesn't. And it's easy to manage. It's very simple. Water in your taps 24/7 is one of the easiest things to do. The Romans, the Mesopotamians, the people of of Iran and Iraq and Babylon, Persia. They found water lines in England that's 5,000 years old. Water easy to do. Easy. Trinidad don't have a water problem. It has a water distribution problem. It has a deliberate water distribution problem. But the Progressive Empowerment Party told you capture, hold, treat, distribute. What's that mean? Our water policy that will put water in your taps 24/7 without ceasing is the sister of our flood policy. Because we will go wherever the statistics and the records say flood. You see, people in Greenville living in something that is called a flood plain. Rahal and the rest of them knew that it was scrubland. So they took that land and built housing. And those people who bought housing from the government got conned. The government sold them housing in a floodplain. And a real government would relocate everybody out of Greenville. And instead of that being housing, it would be a dam. That's made to capture. That's where the water goes. That's where the water naturally collects. When we built South Key beyond Marine Square, it was called Marine Square because it was the water line. The sea lapped against Central Bank. The sea lapped against the Red House. And when they built South Key and reclaimed all that land, the water runoff from Cascade, St. Anne's, Maraval, those valleys that came all the way down through the Savannah and down all those sides, Street, Frederick Street, Abercrombie Street, Henry Street, Charlotte Street, Richmond Street, Dundonald Street, all those streets. When it got to the bottom of Marine Square, it used to fall into the sea. But then we built out and we created a bowl. What used to be where it fell into the sea, it now fills a bowl. So now you have to say, okay, I am now going to have to take responsibility for capturing and holding this water or it will flood the city. And the Progressive Empowerment Party suggests from the Cathedral to Hyatt, the whole Brian Lara Promenade, lift up the promenade and dig down 50 feet and build an entire pond below there and cover it back with the Brian Lara Promenade so people will be on the promenade and not know that they're standing on a retention pond that is capable of holding a storm deluge of water. And after the rainstorm, a simple pump. You don't need massive multi-million-dollar kickback pumps like the ones Rohan Sinanan put down by the lighthouse that don't work. It makes no sense. It was a bullshit idea, like every idea that comes out of his rotten brain. A normal, simple pump system, when the sun is out shining its happy face, will take that water to a treatment center and distribute it to everybody in the vicinity so that everybody would have water 24/7. Your hose flushing a toilet, that was the equivalent of flushing a toilet into a teacup. And we said that we would deepen with retention ponds the entire length of Crystal Stream Highway so that you could be in Westmoreland and it could be storming in Petey Valley and the riverbed dry in Westmoreland. Law, basic hydraulic laws. But we do not have people in office for that purpose. Whether they're capable or not doesn't arise. The government's job is to steal money. The government's job is to facilitate theft through unnecessary contracts and take kickbacks through all manner of things. And that's what's been our Trinidad and Tobago. And the only way that we are going to fix this country is to get rid of all of them. We need your help. My number is 682-2110. If you would like to help us financially, send me a message. I will put you in touch with all of the people who are handling that. If you would like to join the party and work in your community, Satish Ramsaran is the party organizer. His number is 796-8172. I asked him to publish everybody else's numbers, Amanda, Indira, Reina, Nicole, so that you have all those people to call. Come on board, get involved and help us, because your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you are to be. Your vote can portend our country's fate. Use your vote well. When you're voting, to be only full amount. Terminate the rain. Let's go to our country together again. We're going to play this song tonight. We're going to talk, and we need to talk these things. You have an option, you have a political movement that you could get on board and support, that you could build, you could be involved in the creation, the process, the policies, how we handle ourselves, what we do and how we do it. You have all of that power. 1.4 million of you who have been ridden by the PNM and the UNC for all of our independence. Now is the time to shake it off, and to shake it off properly and get involved. You come to our meetings on a Saturday at 1 o'clock at 14 to 17 Park Street opposite Victoria Square at our PEP headquarters. You'll realize that you're surrounded by hundreds of people who are capable of doing the job. Come and add your voice, your time, your vote. Come and volunteer. Come and help us. Help us raise funds. We need help. Right, wrong. We have an election to face, and we need to win it convincingly. We need to win a special majority. We need to change laws and rewrite parts of the Constitution so that you could fire governments, and recall legislation is the way to do that. Referendum that Robert Amar is championing is very important to giving the people a continuous voice. A referendum is a vote that is taken out of time, out of election season on important issues, and it instructs the government that this is what the people want done. The government don't have a say. They have to do what you tell them to do through a referendum. Campaign finance reform. The MSJ is accusing the PNM and the UNC of working in tandem to kill the campaign finance reform bill, as they did to kill the procurement legislation. Trinidad and Tobago is being abused by its parliament. The people of this country have democracy and justice in name only, and we need to fix all of that. And I tell you again, that there is only one real chance at doing that, and that is the Progressive Empowerment Party. And if you put 10,000, 15,000, 100,000 people in the street outside our office, it will send a message. They're not coming with their tear gas, they're not coming with their pepper spray. They're coming to stand up and hear what you're hearing. They're coming to see what a brighter day would look like for Trinidad and Tobago. You have to stand up. Government can only play foolishness and roughing up people when it's 50 and 100 people. Stand up by the tens of thousands and the hundreds of thousands. We don't have to cuss. We don't have to clench our fists. We don't have to pelt nothing. We're just standing up as people. One people under one flag. Red, white, black, green. Every shade in between. Every religion, every creed and race, every class. All of us, all the dividers, every gender, size, shape, it doesn't matter. Once you are a citizen of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, you deserve better and you have a right to your voice. The Constitution gives you 4 reasons to associate and speak freely and choose politically. Why are you wasting it? They are encroaching on your civil liberties and removing your human rights with each passing law. You need to put a government in place that will go into the legislature and gut those laws and write a human bill of rights for Trinidad and Tobago that will guarantee you freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. That public order bill that Carl Hudson Phillip, Public Order Act, that Carl Hudson Phillips wrote, that makes you have to ask police for permission to march. We will repeal that law. We will make our democracy deep and strong. We will make sure that poverty is a thing of the past in this country. The fastest way to end poverty is to vote the PNM and the UNC out of office. Half of our budget is theft. That $30 billion that is being stolen with each budget. Because I asked today, is $500,000 a class per year in our schools? Don't have toilet paper, but we're paying $5 billion to school 200,000 children every year. $5 billion. We're not building new schools. And even though we're giving criminal contractors ridiculous millions to do minor repairs, we're going to fix all that. We're going to fix all of that. We're going to make sure, and somebody called me today and said, give every Trinidadian $1 million in your Prime Minister. I said, do you know that our housing policy is 0 deposit, 0 interest for up to 30 years, for up to $1 million, is essentially that? The Progressive Empowerment Party is jobs is our first job. To make sure that everybody who wants a job could get a job and everybody who has a job could turn it into a career. That you could keep developing your skill set and your ability to earn. So that your choices are not suffer, dead, security guard, put fries in a box. We will fix it so that massive industry, and not just oil and gas, but many other different types of industry, set up shop in Trinidad and Tobago and improve the skill sets of our people. We will create a jobs program over our first 5 years that will reduce our unemployment to 0.0% consistently, so that companies will have to woo you for your labor and make you fancy offers and tell you, come and work with us. In 5 years, we will make sure you own your own car. In 10 years, we'll make sure you own your own house. We will help you. We will pay for your children's education. We will, because that's what they can do. We have billionaires in this country on pretty much slave labor. When you look at what those people working for in town selling cloth, I mean, it's a joke. And you can't say to yourself that this is somehow right or reasonable. It's not. No good and decent people will think that we could underpay. The cheapest we pay our workers is $20 an hour. We have workers on site that when they come off site, we pay them $50 an hour. We make sure that we share the wealth. All of our employees get a percentage of what we earn. We want to make sure, and that is why people stay with me forever. They stay forever. They go nowhere. Because for you to take them, you have to not only offer them better financially, you have to offer them better the promise of what we will do to stand with them in case of a problem. And one of our employees just learned that when the wolf reached his door. That even in his disloyalty, we were loyal. But that's another conversation for another time. The Progressive Empowerment Party stands for jobs for all who want jobs, careers and development, continuous development. Our tertiary, our secondary education will be instructed by our tertiary education. Our tertiary education will be instructed by the National Development Plan, so that we will know what type of skill sets we want coming through education. You think the PNM and the UNC understand what I just said? You think they set the secondary education instructed by the tertiary education, instructed by where we're going to be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now? You think the PNM and the UNC know how to have those conversations? They could have it after this video because they've heard it, so they could repeat it. But that's how you run a country. All who want a job must have a job. All who have a job and want a home must be able to own a home. The Progressive Empowerment Party home ownership plan is to create a financial machine, an enterprise whose job it is to create credit for homeowners. I want you to understand something. Diamond Vale was built for $20,000 a house. Those houses selling now for $2, $3, $4, $5 million. There is only value in equity in real estate. So when the government says that we will help you buy your house and that is zero deposit, zero interest for first-time owners for 30 years, what that does is make each and every first-time homeowner a millionaire automatically. And where do you get the money from, Philip? Where are you getting the money from to authorize that credit? The $9 billion we're spending on national security every year. Because if people have a chance to have a proper job and to own their home, police don't have to be running them down in the night. And we'll be securing the borders and the legitimate ports of calls and the gun trade will end. And we'll set aside $40 million for police officers who bring in guns, illegal guns, because we'll be stopping the guns with the maritime security wall, and we'll be stopping the guns by having a proper customs and excise, not the shit show that we have now. And police will pick up the 40,000 illegal guns, and that's it. That's it. The gang culture will end. We will go into the impoverished communities. People like Gregory Sloan Seal, who should already have a national award. People like Gregory Sloan Seal should be put to work. He is the person who crafted cooling the hotspots. Put him and people like him, Avanel Hector Joseph, put them to work at identifying the communities that need redeveloping so that the people get fathers. See, end the crime culture, so fathers there in their homes, raising their children. Male testosterone energy adds a lot of value to ending crime. The numbers say so. In countries where home ownership is high, the family unit stays together. In countries where the family unit raises the children, all of the negatives in society are at the lowest. Look at the countries that work, that don't make news. Look at them. Look at how they live. Success leaves clues. Copy them. You don't make it up. Home ownership for all. Jobs for all. Now let's talk things like water. Water for all. You've heard how our flood policy creates our water policy and ends the bottled water, truck water bullshit. That you will be able to sell all of our tanks to impoverished nations around the world, or we'll break it down and use it in construction. Let's talk education. A proper education system that leaves no child behind. We want to purpose build 200 new schools, each of them with a population of 1,000 children, community-based schools, abolish the SEA. So when your child goes into school at 5 and comes out at 15, not only is it coming out educated, but it's coming out with friends for life. A circle of friends, a community, knitting communities together. If you didn't know this, a nation is a collection of communities. If we get the communities to work, the nation will right itself. It'll fix itself. Healthcare. 41 mini hospitals in every constituency, 24/7. Minor surgery suites, ophthalmological, dental, everything you need. So if you want to go and get your food badge, but you're working in the day, you could go 3 o'clock in the blasted morning and get your food badge. It's simple to do and it's easy to do. We will move out of Port of Spain. All, O-W-L-L, A-L-L-L, A-W-L. I want Gregory Aboud of Doma to hear me. A Progressive Empowerment Party government will move every government office out of Port of Spain and put it in the geographical center in a new city we plan to build. Like we plan to move the port of Spain out of Port of Spain to a facility 50 times bigger in Point Lisas, where every container will be unstuffed on the port to end the smuggling of guns and drugs and everything else that takes place on the port. But I want them to hear me about the moving of the businesses, the government offices from Port of Spain, because that have to end. It's time people stop spending 3, 4, 5 hours in traffic trying to get to Port of Spain to work. 15, 20 minutes for the longest. We want to create buildings. We want to create green spaces, green buildings. We want to encourage healthy lifestyles to save the $5 billion we spend on healthcare every year. So we're going to heavily tax the things that are bad for you and subsidize the things that are good for you. You must be able to walk through town and buy a mango for $1. We want that. We want that. So the fast food culture, we must ease it away into a more nutritious diet. Because a lot of the fast food people eating is nutrition void, and it creates cancer and diabetes and heart disease, and that's most of the things. That's the top 3 things eating up the $5 billion in public health money that is spent every single year. Our green city that we want to build in the center of the island with all of those government campuses, those buildings will have showers and lockers for all of the workers. So you can ride a bicycle to work and with your sweaty self, go and have a shower and dress for work. And then at the end of the day, ride back home. Lowering the carbon footprint, you could run, you could walk. That solves health, education, home ownership, jobs, water, traffic. In 15 minutes of conversation. We're not talking yet about solving crime. But by fixing these things, crime will be a thing of the past. A lot of these people that want to organize gangs and things, Bill calling Charlie and telling Charlie, we put in a walk tomorrow, and Charlie saying, no brother, court's coming to deliver some furniture and I have a job interview. So I ain't in your gang no more. Let's fix it. We could fix it. Our country too blessed to be this blighted. PNM and UNC, nothing. Nothing. PNM and UNC, nothing. Kamala and Keith, nothing. Those are 2 bullshit artists, and both of them surrounded by yes men, ass lickers, whose job it is to just facilitate and uphold, like Devon did, like Rowley did, uphold the criminality of your government. Fix it, Trinidad. Fix it. Stand with me. Stand with me. I have been standing with you and for you. Let us stand together and fix our country. This Saturday at 1 o'clock. This Saturday at 9 o'clock, we'll be having a walkabout in Central. If you would like to be part of the walkabout in Central, you could call Satish Ramsaran at 796-8172 or call Lakshman Ramrup at 752-1888. You could call Nicole Mangala also at 737-0911. You could, of course, WhatsApp me, 682-2110, and I'll forward it to them. 9 to 12, we have a walkabout in Central. We have a meeting at 1 o'clock at our headquarters. Feel free to drop by. If you're coming, let us know, because we cater lunch on a Saturday. Call Indira at 702-7445 or 499-8382. My number is 682-2110. Don't abuse it. And that's it. We could fix it. We don't have to be black, we don't have to be Indian, we don't have to be Chinese, we don't have to be Syrian, we just be Trinidadians, we don't have to be Red Man, we don't have to be Douglas, we don't have to be this and that and the other. We just have to be Trinbagonians and say, you know what, we want a better country. That's what we want. We want a better country. We want to age safely. We want our children to be able to play and grow with hope and opportunity. Those things can happen. Get to the end of the bullshit of the PNM and the UNC, because if you don't end it, all of this will end us. Trinidad is failing. Look around you. Until tomorrow. Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.